Welcome back to another episode of the Blockburner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
On the 6, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right, dude, it's another week. It's been busy as always.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just watching the first 10, 15 minutes of the soccer match between Mexico and who is it?
South Africa?
South Africa?
Yeah, your time scale's all off. That was 40 minutes in.
Oh,
we literally
that was
been
40
watching
minutes?
40
Damn.
minutes of soccer, dude.
Yeah,
Wait, 40. So it's almost over then.
Well,
almost
right?
halftime.
Almost halftime.
Yeah, and they scored in the first 10 minutes. That's what I was thinking about.
Correct. Yeah, which pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Hooray. Good stuff, guys. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So
there
there
should be a boost to the economy at least, right? At least
for Mexico City, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess whoever's hosting these events, and there's one in our town. Actually, there's like 7 matches here in Houston, Texas. So,
all unknown teams.
well, I guess Portugal's coming. That means
Yeah.
Ronaldo should be, frolicking about.
Will forgot about Germany.
Germany, are they coming?
Yeah.
They might be coming too. Yeah, these are not unknown teams, dude. These are like mega.
Can't forget about
countries.
Germany, dude. They
Yeah.
almost took over the world twice.
It's true.
And I think they won the World Cup not too long ago. I do remember that. It's like a Germany team.
No, I haven't. I have a friend who hasn't let me forget about Argentina winning the World Cup last
Still?
4 years ago.
It's like, hey, well, don't forget. It's,
We still won.
12 years ago about that World Cup.
Yeah.
Just in case you forgot about it.
Yeah.
Well, they just won recently too.
Yeah, Argentina. They won 4 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the thing about the World Cup. You win for a long time.
That's right.
I mean, it is a big deal. Once every 4 years. I mean, there's a lot of bragging rights to that, I suppose.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know. I don't think we've ever won, at least not in our lifetime.
No, I don't think so.
USA. And I don't think we're projected to win anytime soon. I don't know. How is this possible? Don't we have like fire athletes everywhere? Like, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, I don't
They're
think
all
we put.
allocated to other sports.
Yeah,
They're all
that's
playing
right.
football.
Football, baseball, and basketball.
That's what it is. Interesting. Yeah, imagine LeBron out there, dude. Like in his prime.
Yeah.
6 foot, what? 6'8"? I don't think soccer players come at that size, but
Nah.
he's definitely fast enough to be out there.
Yeah, he could be out there.
He's fast and dexterous enough to make some noise. Damn, that'd be interesting to see LeBron.
Yeah,
Like
what
in
a beast. though.
parallel universe.
Yeah, it's like Jordan going to play baseball, right?
Didn't turn out too well, did it?
No, it didn't.
Yeah. It's harder than it looks, guys, the sports stuff.
Yeah, so why are we talking about sports? Because of gacha.
It's true. I guess the gacha craze of today is Pokemon, but I mean,
Yeah.
sports should be coming right up, right? Because
I would think so.
if there's like a
Hey, you know what? I just realized that there might be like a parallel historical rhyme happening, because remember when NFTs were starting to pop off, it was NBA Top Shots,
yeah,
and that was like the first kind of like interest in NFTs, like
yeah,
general interest in NFTs,
yeah.
and so now we're having Pokemon and sports memorabilia.
Yeah. I think you're right.
That could be the start of something.
I think so. I think it's delivering, I guess, the native technology of crypto to a product category where there's already like a massive audience, right? That's what Top Shots did.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's tokenize moments within the NBA, and let's speculate on their value.
You know what really kind of fueled that was the NBA themselves. It was all
Correct.
licensed stuff.
Correct. Yeah, but in Pokemon and Gacha case, whatever that's going on now, it's like, these are real products.
Yeah, these are real secondary assets.
Yeah, it's not like some new generation of some new
Correct.
type of content. Like
Yeah.
Top Shots was like a whole new thing, right? But these are like things that already like have real world asset demand, right? So that's why it's
Yeah, I guess it doesn't require any licensing.
yeah, it doesn't. It's just like a different market vertical
That's right.
for an already existing like asset class.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Naturally, it should get a lot of eyeballs and attention, right? Because it's a massive audience in existence, just like the NBA. Actually, you know what? I think that's worth searching, like the actual
Top Shots, like volume?
No, the scale of like how many people. Let's see, how many people watch the NBA? Let's see. What you got any
I
guesses?
can't imagine a lot of people. Maybe like 20 million?
What do you think, TJ?
Dozens.
Come on, dude.
I tried to watch the other night, dude. It's
That's
not
rough.
my jam.
It's just not for you.
How is that possible, dude? It's like there's action in every play.
Not these days, dude. It's like flops every play, you know?
Nah.
You haven't been watching, that's why.
No,
You remember
I was an
you're-
avid watcher for a good decade.
You're fondly recalling the old days, you know, before SGA kind of like poisoned a whole generation.
No, James Harden was the one who started all of this like flopping.
Was it?
I mean, he didn't start it, but he really perfected it.
Okay, James Harden poisoned a whole generation, and that's what got us SGA.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So 170 million people enjoy this product of the NBA.
So like in a year?
It just says unique viewers in the U.S. watch NBAs across the primary broadcast platforms during the regular season.
170?
It's an 86% increase from the previous year. So
These are new, unique watchers.
yeah, this is all the
Yeah, so if you watch like one game, you're in that then, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
So
I mean,
That's
I guess I'm in the pool, but
yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely in the pool. You're part of the audience, right? You know.
So that's half of everybody in America watches NBA. At least saw a few minutes of it. At least.
Yeah, that's the Wemby effect for sure. I think a lot of those probably came in like in the postseason. I don't know. So what's a better thing to search? Like fans?
how many people are watching the NBA Finals?
Well, there's got to be a good number. I mean, damn, I'm surprised by 170 million.
So the NBA Finals between the Knicks and the Spurs is averaging 19.1 million viewers across ABC and ESPN.
See, that feels about right.
So let's call it 20 million. That's like actual fans of the sport. Like in the sense, like if you're collecting
Yeah,
Pokemon cards,
sure.
you're like an actual fan of Pokemon, right? We've all seen Pokemon. Are we actually like, are we the audience? Probably not, unless we're like,
We might be because it's sort of like pinging the nostalgia aspect of it.
maybe.
And like our age group tends to have more money on average, so we're
So then what's the search here? How many people own Pokemon cards? Oh, there's no way to track this. According to CNN, more than 75 billion cards have been printed, but data and surveys indicate that tens of millions of people own Pokemon cards worldwide. So that could be
it could be 10 to 50 million.
or 80, 90 million.
Or yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing, right? So, but nonetheless, we're in the same realm as the NBA, like Pokemon, without a doubt. It is. If
Yeah,
not,
I would
if
say
not
so.
bigger, if not bigger, right? And that's just Pokemon. You're forgetting about One Piece. You're forgetting about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
All the different IPs that are TCG'd, collectibles,
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh?
and sports itself is also part of this market, right? So we're talking possibly the biggest consumer market by far. It's like collectibles, you know.
Yeah. That's I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, it makes sense, dude. Like, this is a collectible.
Yeah, I suppose.
Freaking Halo, you could turn this also into a NFT tradable thing if there was value to it.
Sure.
Maybe that's how you discover the value of these things now. I don't know. But the point is, yeah, there's a real festering happening here. And it does rhyme to early NFTs for sure. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how this like kind of moves forward, right?
Yeah, so what a lot of these platforms are doing is gacha is like this word they give it where you make your own packs. And then you sell your custom packs, and if you get lucky, you get one of the rare cards. And you showed me a video where someone pulled a $30,000 card.
Yeah, it's from Collector Crypt.
Yeah.
Because I think they just introduced $2,500 packs. So you're not buying like packs the way we're used to, right? We buy a pack of Pokemon cards. You get like 10 cards in a pack.
It's a card you're getting.
A graded grail, a slab. It's one of those. And you don't know which one you're going to get. It's just they have an inventory with like thousands of these things, right? And then they split them into tranches based on their value and rarity and such.
So we're just running the loot box.
Kind of. It's a loot box phenomenon for collectibles. Yeah. So it's just, $2,500, you get a pull the lever, and then, in most cases, you're going to get a card that's worth $1,000, $1,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you can instantly liquidate that, basically get the value, almost the same value.
Yeah, correct. So Collector Crypt is interesting because they've developed an SDK that allows anybody to kind of use their inventory.
Basically, yeah. Create like other iterations around that, right? Because they handle all the distribution and fulfillment side of things.
Yeah, so that SDK, it just seems like it is just a front end. Like you could create your own front end to basically sell their inventory.
Yeah, it's like Amazon, right? Amazon built all the infrastructure,
pretty much,
highway for mass consumer products on the internet, and then it's like, yeah, you just build your Amazon storefront.
Yeah,
that's like a whole thing, right?
Yeah,
so it's very similar. So, and again, as of right now, really only Pokemon has like really captured or struck a nerve.
But it's only a matter of time.
It's literally like that meme, right? It's like a glacier. We're only seeing like the tip of it.
Yeah.
Right now, so it could really explode. And yeah, if the industry is looking for some new shining darling to kind of get people interested in crypto again, this is probably it.
Yeah.
Right. Just
it has to be. It's more consumer friendly.
It's something people already love.
Yeah.
And are making money at, but at the same time, you could lose a lot because I'm seeing people experimenting because they're discovering this stuff just like we are, and it's like, all right, let me take 10 grand to this new casino and let's see what happens, right? It's like, all right, they got $1,000 packs. Let me buy 10 of them.
Yeah.
And after you rip all 10, guess what? You're left with like $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't discover the Grail. I wasn't one of the lucky ones. And then you quickly realize what you've just done. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Collector Crypt released a $2,500 pack.
Yeah.
And then their revenue is just
exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it gives you the bigger get, right? A $2,500 pack might get you like a $100,000 card. So, I mean, that's obviously that's human nature, right? We want the biggest payday. We want to swing for the home run.
Yeah, man, $2,500 is a lot of money for like gambling.
Yeah, yeah. So you could take that $2,500. You could do a lot with it. You could park it in stock market. You could have used that SpaceX.
Yeah,
and hope for a 10x in 100 years, right? Or you could have taken it to some meme coin on pump, right? $2,500, and hopefully you don't get rugged.
Yeah, I wonder if this is appealing to like just a different demographic. Like the person who's spending $2,500 on memes is not the same person who will buy a $2,500 pack.
Yeah, I think originally it was like actually people who like have an affinity for the IP.
Yeah.
But I think it's starting because of these new rails and like how velocitous it is. Like, it's
sure.
So it's like a meme coin market now. It's been cryptofied.
Yeah.
And it deepens the liquidity base of it, and now it has a similar shared experience to cryptocurrency. So So now it attracts the degens, right? Because they're seeing these reports of people getting lucky, turning $2,000 into 50 grand.
Yeah,
it's no different than getting a 20x on a meme coin.
For sure,
it's attractive.
It's just when you hold a meme coin, it's a group of people who are pushing up the token.
Yeah.
So you have some impact.
True.
You have zero impact on what slab you get.
Correct.
And it's like isolated. You either get something or you don't, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's appealing to different demographics, and therefore it's like a different liquidity pool accessing that activity.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah, and also it's just like I don't know. Yeah, because meme coins have kind of like exhausted itself in a sense. So I don't know. It's like the full pendulum and the full swung into that direction where, like you're saying, it doesn't require any of these actual efforts in order for these like ROIs to exist.
Yeah.
It's purely random, right? And obviously there's a massive market for this type of stuff. Like gambling is just growing across the board, culturally.
Kalshi, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these platforms are generating way more money than like now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, the whole AI thing has really deflated people's future potential.
Yeah, pull up a tweet that I put in the Discord. It's in our team chat here, the last one, just so we can kind of like really appreciate what's going on here.
All right, what are we looking at? So it's from Moon. It says, don't think we've ever had a crypto sector this profitable other than a few categories like sexist, Telegram bots, and now DEXs. Pokemon sites are making a combined 5 million a day right now.
So there it is, Collector Crypt.
So this is fees in the last 7 days, which is directly income. So Collector Crypt, Courtyard, Fidgetals, and BZ. So 2.28 million, 165, 1.65 million, 1 million, and 400,000.
Yeah, so I guess that tweet is wrong, right? It's combined 5 million plus a week right now, not a day.
Oh, in a day. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because this shows 7 day. But still, still massive, right? Still a good indication that something in crypto has struck a nerve, right?
Sure.
People are allocating liquidity towards something other than meme coins because 2 years ago or a year ago, that's what it was happening here. It was pump.
Yeah.
It was, name XYZ other, competing platforms. Zora, Believe.
I mean,
Bonk.
Pump is still making around this number on a daily basis still.
Yeah, but it's gone down.
It
and
has.
Collector Crypt is going up. Pretty soon it's going to pass it. I think yesterday they did 800,000.
Yeah.
And Pump did like 900,000. So it's in parity now. Like the market, invisible hand is starting to position itself over there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's a different experience. It's not crypto to what we're used to, right? This is not. We're used to we generate something of originality, right? Natively here in our crypto universe, like whether it's an NFT collection or a meme coin itself, whatever. It's something that was spawned here. And then like a market forms around that and, creates value from it.
Yeah. I really like what Collector Crypt has done though with the whole SDK because you have this whole inventory and then you have like the fluid markets of cryptocurrency and you combine those two. And then all of a sudden, you're generating $2.28 million in 7 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's quite the recipe that they've built up here.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about is, trying to merge these two universes, because it is right now, like, the Pokemon universe has, nestled its way into crypto, but we've got to figure out a way how to, actually bring the experience of crypto, like you're saying. Well, typically what results in, number go up tech is, it's more community based in most cases, right?
Yeah.
Meme coin or NFT collection like that typically is what dictates the value of things, like whether or not a community can align, like NAT.
Yeah.
The value in NAT is in its community.
That's right. That's right.
And that goes for any crypto coin, right? Even if you're solving some crazy fundamental technical problem, the market won't care unless there's a community there.
Exactly.
To push the value of that. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. We were talking yesterday about how if you're developing something in the crypto space and you don't have a token, you largely don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it is very important to have that token in existence. And Collector Crypt, don't they have a token? Isn't it called Cards?
It is called Cards.
Yeah.
It's a good ticker, actually. Yeah. But that's a good thing to bring up. Yeah, because they weren't. I don't know if they were. I don't think they were first because I remember talking about Courtyard.
Yeah, Courtyard
way
was
before
first.
Anybody else.
Yeah,
but they don't have a token.
Fidgetals too.
Yeah, they also don't have a token. So there's speculation around this, right? If these guys are generating revenue, and at some point, if this keeps growing, they might enter hyperliquid realms.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be a bad idea to get on the volume leaderboard so that in case there's an airdrop, right? Like the way Hyperliquid did it.
Right.
But yeah, the token effect means Collector Crypt is winning because they have a live token.
So have you looked into the tokenomics of that token? Is it just essentially a meme, it just exists?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
All we do know is that there's 80% still locked supply.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that probably implies investors and a standard typical token setup, right? There's vesting unlock periods, possibly.
Yeah. KOL allocations.
Yeah, because I don't think they're doing something where it's they're not distributing this token.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think so. So I think that's one of the criticisms of it. It's they haven't really done too much tokenomics engineering the way Hyperliquid does. It's
right.
I don't even think.
Well, Hyperliquid also holds 70-80% too.
Yeah. Yeah, but they systemically buy and burn their supply.
Yeah.
And that does a lot to, I guess, the confidence of it and such. So I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to activate these switches once they realize, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what you do in this space,
Yeah. Yeah, so we're actively looking into it just because it's getting so much attention, and we're trying to figure out is like why, how, and what do we do about it, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I think, I don't know, NFTs have to find some sort of cross section with this market. Just like we say with anything, like AI is becoming a booming sector. At some point, crypto and NFTs have to like intersect with that and like create something of value.
Yeah, you're saying intersect with AI and create something
Yeah.
of value. Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's agents or I don't know, right? There's all
Well,
kinds of
I think
possibilities around
the clear use case for as far as agents and crypto is being able to pay agents or agents being able to pay for things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing that they can use is just crypto. They're not going to get a bank account
Right.
or a Stripe account. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I see that it's clearly obvious, but someone needs to package that up into something useful, something that the users get into it to the tune of generating $2 million.
Right.
But and that can come in many ways, like a trading bot, someone flipping NFTs, for example, whatever that is. And so that's what I'm thinking is like that's probably the most obvious use case, but you still have to come up with something interesting. And there was you mentioned NAT. I saw this post, and everyone is talking about obviously how poor the price of Bitcoin has been going. And so I saw this post, and they're basically talking about the power law here. And so long story short on this post, did you see this?
I did not.
Okay, so long story short on this post is they did an analysis, and they took only the first 6 years of the price of Bitcoin, 6 or 7 years of the price of Bitcoin, and then they took that data and they said, let's apply the power law to it, and let's draw a curve to see where it goes. And so they did that, right? So this is the first 6 or 7 years, and then they drew the next 10 years. And so when they drew that line, it was basically right in the center of all the future data, the real data, right? Right in the center. So what this tells us is that this power law has a couple of assumptions. And those assumptions include that the fundamentals of Bitcoin is still there, the network effect is still there, it's still growing proportionally to the amount of holders that it has, things like that. Things that you would expect a network effect to be, right? So things like include cities forming, it follows a power law. Earthquakes follow a power law. So there's all these things in nature that all these things follow power laws, like asteroids hitting Earth, power law, like all these things, right? And so anyway, they applied the power law, and the center line is right through both, right in the center, according to all the 10-year history of Bitcoin projecting out in the future. So what does that mean? So what was interesting here is that everyone is talking about this power law, and there have been many versions of this, right? The nonlinear regression curve.
Yeah.
We got the rainbow chart. Like all these curve out into the future. And when you do the math, if things play out in the way that people are predicting, and in the case here, it has played out. So if you project that into the future, all this tells me is that as time goes forward, the security budget of Bitcoin continues to decline despite the number always going up.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I wrote kind of like basically outlining this as assuming that this is true and the data suggests that it could be true, then we got a big problem, and basically pointing out that Ampool, Luxor, Vibeathon, Spider Pool, and F2 Pool are supporting the only thing that is actually going to sustain the security of Bitcoin. And yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting, but it's more interesting that people don't really see a problem here.
Mm.
And so yeah, I thought I'd point that out. And
so it's another, like, I don't know, another meme model is what how I view these things at this point. Every single model that's been concocted breaks at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So it's another meme model, but this one is projecting a continuation of what we're observing, like a diminishing all-time high.
Correct.
Over time.
Correct. Yeah.
A compression of, I guess, volatility across the board, but also, yeah, it means like the future price action of Bitcoin doesn't meet the assumptions of people like Adam Back, who's like, yeah, Bitcoin's forever just going to always double, so there's no issue, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because we're referencing the past. It always has.
Sure.
But
Yeah, but what I find interesting is that if you look into like what the power law means, I said that it has a lot of applications to nature and how cities get formed and things like that. So there's power law is a real thing. Like you can measure things with the power law. The thing with the power law is that it assumes that the fundamentals continue.
Right.
Right. And so if the fundamentals do not continue, the power law will fail. And so if the power law continues, that means directly the fundamentals of Bitcoin break down because the security of the network goes down over time. And so if the fundamentals break down, the power law breaks down, and you will see numbers outside the first and second standard deviation of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what I mean by these models always break somehow. You know.
Well, okay, so having said that, if the fundamentals of Bitcoin maintain, such as price goes up, security goes up, then it will maintain the power law. But the power law is completely dependent on the fundamentals, the network effect, people adding to the network, adoption, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a paradox here that no one is pointing out. Yeah, so I feel like this is kind of a big deal, but I don't know why it's just not obvious.
Why is it not obvious?
Yeah, I just don't see. I really don't understand why it's not obvious. If the subsidy of Bitcoin continues to exponentially go down, what is the thing securing the network?
Yeah,
it's nothing. Nothing is securing the network.
It's meme power, dude. It's really what it is. You know, you're thinking too hard about it.
Well, even with meme power, you still have to have some of these like fundamentals of a network effects.
Incorrect, dude. It's meme power, dude. It's like we don't have to worry about any of these actual existential risks as long as, you know, if we can get enough people to believe, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I do get it. It's sort of like if you just believe hard enough, things just manifest.
Maybe. Yeah.
and it would work for Bitcoin.
That seems to be the approach, the strategy of today.
Yeah, and it would work. It's just that there is one thing that kind of underpins everything, and it's the security.
Right.
Like you could believe hard on Bitcoin, but if there's just one laptop running it, there's no value in the network.
Yeah, but my point is, it's like all Bitcoin is like a perpetual act of getting other people to buy Bitcoin. Like, so all that requires is you telling other people to buy it, which is what people like Michael Saylor and others.
No, that's true. That's true. But you could buy it into infinity. But if the computers that are running the network decide to turn off, then what's the point of buying it? Like, how is there any value in the thing?
Right. That's what I mean. That's so you don't allow things like this to become obvious, right? Because you don't want that to like nestle into, you know, public zeitgeist, because then that would disrupt people's, you know, confidence in the act of buying Bitcoin. Because we all understand Bitcoin has a rhythm and a nature to it. It's like, okay, every 4 years at this point, you know.
Yeah, and it's been consistent too.
Yeah, it's consistent. It did it again this cycle. So, you know, at some point, you know, it's going to hit a bottom zone that it's already there, but it could still go lower, where it's like almost financially irresponsible not to buy Bitcoin at these zones. Right? So enough people understand that, and they will allocate, and they will start buying it.
Yeah,
like they always do.
And that will play out, right? Eventually, we're going to see a bottom here, 60, 50,000, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And then it's going to go back up to 120, 130, 150.
How did that happen?
And we're back, guys. We're back. But what changed between the previous cycle and then the upcoming cycle in that scenario where we're at $200,000 Bitcoin is that there's less miners involved.
Right. Well, yeah. But the people who typically they have this call to action, you know, they don't care. You're probably not even aware.
For sure. But eventually you couldn't ignore this.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It only becomes unignorable whenever, you know, something actually has to happen, right? Like, this is our human nature. Like something, the meteor has to strike.
Sure.
Right? Like, you know, the pandemic has to spread.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the actual risk has to make itself clear and evident in order for people to react and respond and like all of a sudden become logical, sensible beings.
Yeah.
Right. So expecting them to become that beforehand, it's like it's futile in a sense, right?
Yeah, I would also agree with that, but you know, these institutions have already acknowledged a solution because they know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, because they're in survival mode.
Right.
They need whatever they can get at this point, right? Because they're bleeding. They're being bled.
Yeah.
By an unsustainable economic model, right? And then, they're being
outcompeted by AI HPC and
correct. Yeah, so it's like a no-brainer for them. But I'm talking about the people who actually buy the thing,
sure,
buying from them essentially, because they're the ones earning it and then selling it to the open market.
That's right.
The actual buyers of the market, they have no
they don't
cause, care, or concern about these matters, which is the big problem, right? That's the fundamental issue. The issue is in here, right? With all of us, right?
Yeah.
As a species, as whatever. It's just how we behave consistently. So,
yeah, it's just interesting that there's other people who look at things fundamentally, but they just somehow they just kind of whiz by this issue, like there's this issue is not discoverable.
Well, it is, but then that's why NAT exists,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So it's for those who have, I guess the ability to
more than two brain cells and
objectively analyze like the reality of life and like, assess future risk scenarios and such. There's now an asset vehicle to position yourself within.
Yeah.
Like in the event, like this problem becomes or it enters some
obvious
horizon where it's like unignorable, right?
Yeah.
It's just a hedge, basically.
It is a hedge.
It's a viable hedge.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was going to say that too, that this is a hedge because ultimately this could play out. I mean, other things in nature has played out using the power law. So it is reasonable to think that Bitcoin also will play out in the same way. But the power law is a fundamental analysis of how things grow organically. And the fundamentals of Bitcoin is breaking down, and a solution like the NAT token is just a hedge against that. So it's only for people who recognize that this problem exists and a solution exists. And it's just a matter of time before it becomes obvious.
Yeah.
And let's say it takes 10 years from now. So that would be a 13-year-old NAT, and a solution had been in existence for 13 years before it became obvious, and all of a sudden...
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is the same thing, too. Bitcoin has always served as a hedge against fiat and, like, institutional, financial, I guess, like, abuse or overreach or whatever you want to call it, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it was inspired by the 2008, housing bubble, which was, like, a human... mismanagement, I guess, of economics and finance and all that stuff.
Right.
So that somebody created a hedge in the event at some point in humanity's future trajectory.
Yeah.
Like this becomes like this management hits some time horizon where it's like objectively no longer sustainable or viable anymore.
Right.
Like, and so people who have been witnessing what the banks do, what the government does, what the Federal Reserve does, just keeps printing more and more money.
Yeah.
Devaluing the dollar. And at some point you can't just kick this can forever, can you?
Right.
So you're betting on that.
Yeah.
It's like at some point the can no longer be kicked.
Man,
we're here. Like the government's literally about to start buying into equities.
They are.
And they're going to probably print infinite money to do that.
Yeah, now whatever equities that they're holding, those equities are too big to fail, and they're always going to get bailed out no matter what. And then those companies generating revenue, guess what they're going to do? They're going to tilt the scales for when election comes around.
Yeah, correct. So all this is, you get to devise a thesis around this, whether or not this is sustainable activity, like from an economics perspective or whatever, and then. If you disagree with it, you think it's not, then guess what? There's an asset that exists that's positioned, I guess. Against it. So that's been the allure for Bitcoin all along. So if you're early to that understanding and you agree to that, you got to buy it before most did.
That's right. Yeah.
That's no different, right?
Yeah.
It's like we see a similar unsustainability like dilemma in Bitcoin itself, which is
Not only
there's
that,
irony to that for sure.
It's mathematical. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the can kicking down the road by, you know, just the fiat mechanisms, like you could, who's to say that $40 trillion in debt is the limit?
Right.
Why isn't it $240 trillion in debt?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, we're going to have AI and we're going to have robots. All of a sudden, the GDP is going to go up and the debt to GDP ratio declines.
Right.
And why not have $500 trillion in debt? What's wrong with that?
Soon.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's a little bit more, I guess, in the air. It's more like a, you know, at what point does the human being no longer buy into it? And like, you know, the confidence is disrupted.
Yeah, and you could argue that China and Russia, they're all like not buying into it anymore, right? And they're starting to position themselves into gold.
Exactly. Yeah, so there's already indications of it no longer being, you know, sustainable. So
Yeah.
you would assume, you know, price of Bitcoin should be mooning
Yeah.
right around these times, right?
That's right.
But, you know, maybe there's just bigger factors at play.
Like SpaceX?
No, like people who actually control, like, you know, the price of this thing. It's like, you know.
Yeah, it could be just a big whale who's like, you know what, I'm just going to sell my position in Bitcoin, buy SpaceX, wait out the 10 to 20 years for a 10X.
Yeah.
And, you know, call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, the NAT is just it's probably the most interesting token so far. I mean, we try to look at everything that's going on in crypto, and like again, we don't find a lot of such an asymmetric upside opportunity compared to NAT, just because of the mathematical potential of it, or inevitability of it, I should say.
Right.
So yeah, so that was that, and I thought I'd throw this in just because I don't know, it's really clear to me, but people just seem to ignore it, and I get it. It's like they have their bags, they don't want to know that there's a problem with it. And I just listened to the CEO of Coinbase on a podcast that was just released like a few hours ago, and he was saying that Bitcoin's price went down simply because AI HPC is a better, riskier bet. And so that's what people are going into. And he has no worry, especially even with quantum computing. He's not concerned at all. And it's just going to get fixed. And Satoshi's 1 million Bitcoin are probably going to either be frozen or taken away by some quantum computer by China or Google or the United States, whoever comes with it first. So he's not concerned. Anytime you talk to an OG Bitcoiner, they're never concerned. And that's concerning.
True.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That should be a T-shirt, dude. You know?
Yeah.
It's concerning that nobody's concerned.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We need to be concerned maxing, you know?
Yeah, there was one more thing. There's another thing. So we are going back to NAT.FUN here. And so this is not the web page, but this is a potential where we have an announcement that's going to be going on, a Vibeathon.
Yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah.
But it's actually coming now. Yeah, and this is all, again, so we're talking about Pokemon and RWAs and stuff. Is like, okay, the crypto experience is shifting a bit away from crypto native more to like, you know, just digitizing already existing asset classes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you know, we've built a platform that's a little bit more focused on, again, the digital native stuff, NFT creation. But, you know, we haven't been able to properly demonstrate that.
Yeah.
As a platform, as a community, as an ecosystem, because, you know, there has been a second graduation. So shout out to Big Noodle and Superfan.
Actually, let's take a look at that.
So that, I was going to say the launch of the DMT token was the first graduation. And, you know, it came with the issue of, you know, a single actor having too much of the supply. So therefore, you couldn't have a proper demonstration of an NFT distribution event. In other words, like an actual blockout fulfillment where everybody who participated in the bonding curve received their UNATs, which are the NFTs.
Yeah.
and then they can then be able to unbox them through the platform and like discover the the properties of the rarities, whatever, throughout the collection. And what we wanted to do is like open it up to the community to build the vibe of that collection, like literally create the NFTs themselves.
Yeah, here's an example. So we're looking at Big Noodle, and look at the market cap, dude. It's almost 200K.
Damn, it's noodling, dude.
It is noodling. Look at this. Look at this chart.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I mean, speaking about again AI and crypto, so like this is a perfect cross section of where two roads meet a singular path. So there's NFTs here. So
yeah,
people are unboxing them.
Yes, they are. So let's take a look. So let me zoom in here. So these are the NFTs that are being unboxed as we speak. Wow. Right. So we're recording this on Thursday, and people are unboxing it. So by the time you watch this, go to NAT.FUN, find Big Noodle, and I'm sure the majority of these will be unboxed by then.
Yeah, these are cool. These remind me of like comic book characters,
Yeah.
All that's missing is, the little text blurb, and them, of course, being like in some sort of storyline of a, did I say magazine or comic book?
Comic book.
Yeah. That's the vibe I'm picking up here. Which is good. That means there's IP opportunity here, right? Like you could spin these characters into a million different directions, especially now with AI, right? You can create like a whole animated series out of these, right?
Yeah. And so it's interesting because that animated series you're talking about, I mean, we're gonna see if we can bring on Superfan to the podcast, so for an interview, and get an idea as to how he's going to be using this like aspect, because what he has is a deep in a network, and he's trying to take advantage of what's happening with AI. And part of this is like these distribution of NFTs here that is happening right now and being unboxed. So let me give you the whole story here. So this thing launched basically at a zero market cap, $0.
Mm-hmm.
And it graduated 100,000. And then once it graduated, these NFTs were distributed. These are ordinals. So these NFTs were distributed to the token holders of this fungible token, and then today is the art reveal, and like numbers going up.
So interesting.
So what we want to do is we want to encourage creators to launch a token, have your collection kind of like roughly done, so that if it does graduate, everyone gets to see the art pretty much instantaneously after a graduation. And so this is what it looked like before. So it was essentially a grid. People claiming blocks. Oh, I think this is it. Yeah. So people were claiming blocks. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And so once it was completely claimed, it graduates, and now everybody gets their NFTs.
Yeah.
And so pretty soon, I'm guessing people are going to start listing these.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So the act of unboxing, does that mean you have to inscribe them? Since these are Bitcoin assets?
So these are Bitcoin assets. So it depends on the creator. So the creator could say you need to inscribe them because the code that generates these assets uses the inscription ID.
Oh, that's right.
To create the content. And some don't use that aspect, and you can unbox them before they get inscribed.
I see. So in this case, do you know what the script says?
So in this case, I don't think it depends on the inscription ID.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So this is the art. I think it looks pretty great. So this is Superfan's like iteration or kind of like idea in terms of a collection. And what's the collection size here? It's 296.
Right. Again, non-arbitrarily derived off of the pattern called Bitcoin.
Correct.
Which, if you don't understand how that works, all these assets that are generated through this platform, they're DMT based. So that means a deployer simply sets a pattern, upon launching a coin, or collection, and that pattern corresponds to, to the data on Bitcoin. If a pattern matches on a Bitcoin block, essentially signals the production of a UNAT.
Yes.
Which is an ownable asset in the form of an NFT.
Yep.
And within that is what dictates like what's being rendered here, right? It could that depends on the artist script itself. Some of the features here could be reliant on some data component or not. Depends, right? There's like a whole spectrum of how you can utilize Bitcoin. But yeah, fundamentally, the baseline association to Bitcoin data is it determines the supply dynamics of the NFT and the fungible tokens.
Yeah, so here's an example. So they picked this element called Bitcoin. Bitcoin represents a particular, this is the name of the pattern that they are using. So it's just called Bitcoin. And that pattern happens to occur only 296 times in the, let's say, 850,000 blocks of Bitcoin.
So there's a little widget down below that demonstrates that, right?
Yeah, so here's the entire history of Bitcoin from 2009 all the way to 2026. And you can see this pattern, these little blue lines represent the existence of that pattern. So this pattern occurred in 2012 several times, and then a few times since. And if you add all those numbers up in terms of blocks, it's 296 blocks, and therefore there are 296 art NFTs here, ordinals.
So the pattern's 2009, right?
Yeah, correct. It is 2009.
And it's in the bits field?
No, it's in the
nonce field.
It's either I think it's the nonce.
I think it is the nonce. Well, that's crazy that there was like some time period where it was like repeating so frequently so that like on the chart you could see like an anomaly of an occurrence. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's how random. If you don't understand the nonce field, it's a random number generator, basically, right?
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think we're going to be adding more data here so that it's clear like what field it's using.
True.
And what the actual pattern is. But I think the pattern is on the block number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because here, 2009, like that's 200,900 and, X. And so that's why.
I see.
Yeah, it showed up several times here.
Wow. Okay.
So, but anyway, so it's 296 occurrences, and the number here represents if this is the height of Bitcoin, then let's add the height of those 296 blocks, and then that's the total number, 112 million.
Right.
And so this is the fungible token supply. 80% was on the bonding curve, 20% is reserved for the DEX, and now it's completely traded on an open DEX that people can contribute liquidity to, swap in and out.
Well, this is cool to see like the market actually reacting to the art, price going up. And that's kind of the idea. And, what we're, super fans and experienced creators, so he kind of came already prepared with a collection.
Yeah.
But we're assuming most people will not, right? That's why we built the Vibe Studio.
Correct.
And we want people to leverage AI to its fullest potential, which in this day and age it's truly magnificent at this point.
We've been playing around with Fable 5, and it's quite shocking.
It is shocking, like what it is that can be conjured up. So, that ability needs to be as accessible as anything else, right? As accessible as TikTok has made video creation, AI creation needs to be equally as accessible and intuitive. And so that's what we're actively working on. But the whole premise and concept behind that is kind of like what we're witnessing as people are iterating on their vibes, which scroll through these images. This is the vibe of Big Noodle. It's badass. And clearly the market is telling you it's badass. Yeah. That's why the number is going up, right? Of course, there's other factors to Big Noodle other than just the art. Art's just like the surface area, branding, community, vehicle, right? It's an AI deep in play, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a pretty robust project here in the making, right? But nonetheless, clearly the art unveil is having some sort of positive reaction. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So for most people launching coins on NAT.FUN and using the Vibe Studio to publish their early iterations of art, you leverage that market data as like a navigating force to like what it is you should be producing with AI, right? Like if you publish a Vibe, it looks like this and the market reacts like that. It probably means you should keep building in this path.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Keep doing what you're doing, dude. The market likes it. It resonates. It's the vibe is hot, right? So now if you unveil the art and it went the other direction, okay, that should tell you something as well. It's like, back to the drawing board. Let's figure out some new thing, right?
Yeah, and that is why we created this thing called the playbook. because the playbook goes into detail as to exactly what to do as a creator, how to prepare for a token launch, and what to do after the token launch exists, and use the chart to give you an idea is like, am I going down the right path or am I not? And continue updating your art, continue putting out content on Twitter, Instagram, things like that.
Yeah.
And then use that as like the indicator. It's a real market indicator of whether you're on the right path or not. Because a lot of times is you come up with an idea, you think it's great, but once you implement that idea, like no one engages with it, and you wasted a bunch of time. So here you want to be more public with what you're creating, so that once the token is live, people are trading it, you're earning income, right? The fees go to you. And so with that, you can continue iterating and finding product market fit publicly.
Right.
And so I definitely recommend you guys reading this playbook. There's two kinds of playbooks. It's the creator playbook and it's the collector playbook. And so they give you kind of a roadmap as to what you should be doing depending on which kind of person you are in the market.
Right. Yeah, so this is really cool. So again, shout out Superfan and the community behind Big Noodle. They were also Heroes community.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how those two communities will merge into one, but I'm sure Superfan has it all figured out.
Yeah. So we're going to try to have Superfan here.
That's right.
And Dr. Mian here on a podcast.
Maybe next
soon.
week.
Yeah.
Probably next week. And then I think we're also going to be talking to Benny too.
And Benny, yeah.
Pretty soon. So it should be interesting times ahead. And like we're saying, we're going to continue iterating in this direction, of like improving the Vibe Studio so that we can get more of this, right? We want to see more like token graduations corresponding to NFT creation. Like that's the whole vibe of the platform. It's what we really miss about crypto. I mean, it's really cool that RWAs is taking off. Like we like Pokemon, we like real stuff.
Yeah.
But we also like originally created stuff by digital natives. I think that's also cool. I don't think we should end the experiment of whether or not we can create like, blockchain native IP or just internet native IP and discover if something of that was, born from within these rails can actually achieve something like a Pokemon, right? Because Pokemon was born, in Japan and all
in
of
the
our
90s,
all of our childhood bedrooms.
Yeah.
We all had the little crappy TV in our beds,
Yep.
in our rooms. We're all gathered around Saturday morning to watch this thing. It's like, what the hell is going on, dude? Why am I so captured by this anime?
Yeah, it was weird. Why is it so good? And that's like its own psychological endeavor.
Those are the rails of those times, right? Fucking television.
Yeah.
Who the hell still watches that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, now we got channels. What else? I mean, whatever. It's like the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Those are the rails. If you're going to create an IP, you better produce it like through some studio and then distribute it through those, broadcasting rails.
Yeah.
Crypto has a whole different process of like where you can iterate and create from scratch something. And now add AI to that.
That's right.
It's here.
That's
Everything
right.
is here. All the ingredients exist. We just need something to properly package it all together, which is what NAT.FUN is, right?
Yeah. So that Vibe Studio is going to have a hackathon that we call a Vibeathon, and we haven't pushed this update yet. And but once we do, it's going to look something similar to this. But it's basically a $10,000 prize pool, and we're going to make some changes here. And there's going to have a countdown clock of when this thing ends. We're probably going to run it for like at least a week, maybe a little bit more.
Maybe 2 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think a week should be ample time, but because this is the first one, 2 weeks might make sense. Give people time to learn and discover that this is happening, because $10,000 prize pool is no joke, right? That's literally what's up for grabs for whoever creates the best vibe.
Yeah.
And this what's on display here is not like some sort of like, you don't have to create this.
Yeah.
It's just a representation of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a pixel collection, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. You can create anything.
Yeah, so we don't know what the ticker is going to be called either, so we just put DMT collection here, because this is what we originally wanted to do with the first token.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just didn't tell anybody about it because we felt like if we did, we would lead to someone buying 80%, trying to game it, right?
That's true.
So we try to not mention it, and then it still happened anyways. And so with that, we are going to make another update where you can only purchase like a max 1 or 2%.
Yeah, that's right. That's some new technical add-on has been conveniently added into our stack at the right time. Perfect timing. Right?
Yeah. So we launched the token, and then like 2 or 3 days later, Meteora made an update where you can enable this.
Yeah, it's just like token logic, right? Basically, where now you can impose these limitations. You can't just come in and full stack, full port like a token.
Yeah.
You could set limits, which is a big deal. Now it kind of like, it doesn't fully eliminate that this could happen. It just makes it way more difficult.
Right.
Because you could obviously spin up a bunch of individual wallets. Each one's claiming whatever the cap is.
Correct.
But yeah, that's just a new layer of friction that didn't exist before.
Yeah, and that's important for a collection distribution, right?
Yeah.
If you have, this distribution that is very poor, then your NFTs are unlikely to do well.
Yeah, it's the whole reason why we can't do the full scope of product demonstration with the first launch, right? You just can't.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough people holding the UNATs there.
Yeah, there's only 10.
Only 10. Only 10 people would get to experience the grand unveil after a Vibeathon. And I think that's going to be the big, viral moment for this platform in my mind. We have a community that not just participated in the launch of this coin and its growth and its success in the market and therefore grabbing attention. It's a community directly involved in the actual determination of what the Vibe outcome is, right? Because you're going to be voting as a holder.
That's right. So you are going to be voting as a holder. And on top of that voting, the creator or all the submissions are going to also submit not only art, but the actual ticker and the name of the collection.
Right.
So so if they get selected, then the original ticker that we used to launch will just change to whatever everyone voted for.
Yeah. And then that can be revoked down the line. So it's burnt in cement into digital eternity. And that's it. It's that right there is a full spectrum demonstration of what NAT.FUN facilitates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, a creator's happy because they just won 10 grand.
That's right.
And potentially more if that token itself accrues a significant market traction. It could be a $20,000 pot by the end of the Vibeathon, maybe 30. Who knows?
Yeah.
Depends what the market thinks of this whole experiment, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then of course the holders of these assets, they are now delivered with a new vibe, just like the people who bought into Big Noodle. They're getting their assets and they're very happy with it.
That's right.
That's why the price is going up. So I mean, we're back, dude.
Yeah.
Once this whole thing is done, this experiment, and if it works, this is a successful rocket launch. I mean, how could you not declare that NFTs are back?
Yeah.
Right?
I totally agree.
That's the whole mission, the whole drive here, what we're trying to demonstrate. And underneath it all, guess what? It contributes to this big problem that you're worried about. You're concerned maxing. Why is nobody concerned but me?
Yeah.
It's well, maybe the solution is to not, try and actually solve the primitive issue of our reluctance to preemptively account for the future.
Yeah, correct.
It's just deliver them something that they want now and experience now, and then underneath it all, it's you're addressing a core issue, saving the space indirectly without their knowledge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like with a network effect of Bitcoin, it would get solved in this way. Right? Somebody would figure it out. And that's why, a lot of the Bitcoin OGs, they feel comfortable in staying complacent because they know somebody will figure it out.
That's true. That's true. That is a fundamental, that's part of the good aspect of our species.
It's the white blood cells. It's the immune system.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty resilient. I would agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so the last details is in order to join the Vibeathon, all you would need to do is connect your Solana wallet, connect your Twitter account, and then add your email, and then you're part of the running here. And we'll announce when this thing is actually live because it's not, and should be probably sometime next week at the latest.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get this thing going for sure. Next week would be a good time. So yeah, we'll put out a 20-minute video once that's official.
That's right.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Not promising the next video is going to be that, because the last time we did that was a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah, it was.
like a month-long
Yeah.
cliffhanger. We're not gonna do that. So we're free to post at will still.
Yeah.
But it'll be titled something like Vibeathon is now. Right.
Vibeathon is on.
Yeah.
TJ, what's the score?
2-0 Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Let's go, dude.
All right.
It's gotta be pretty much over, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, GG.
Oh, well.
So how does
congrats.
it work? Do you know, like the rules of the World Cup? Like, does that mean South Africa's done, or they?
No,
they
I
they
think it's
play,
a
like,
point system. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pool play. So they play a couple games and then the top out of the pool go.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, South Africa, you still got a shot. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, GG then.
All right. Congrats, Mexico.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Let's call it here. That's been the Block Runner podcast. We talked about NAT token as we normally do. Talked about NAT.FUN. Big Noodle, shout out to Big Noodle. They graduated. Now they're releasing the art here. And that's about it. If you guys have any questions as to what's been going on in the space, let us know in the comment section below. I appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.